Well, good morning, folks. My focus today is going to be on the winter weather and potential snowfall. Not potential. It's going to snow, guys. I mean, it already is, right? But to talk about the now and what the totals are expected to be, quite exciting, especially for my friend Mitch West in Columbia. He could get potentially 8 inches of snow here. Snow has been delayed a little bit at the onset. This is the current radar, the winter weather radar, the composite, showing snow finally starting to fall in North Georgia, a couple of hours delayed. You see the temperatures are falling, right? And anyway, as the temperatures fall, snow is already accumulating up to the north here to some degree, right? So I hope you all doing well today. And like I said, today's focus is going to be on the winter weather. And excuse me, sorry. Oh, I'm getting all choked up. I'm so excited about this. But like my video if you like it, subscribe, share with your friends, and donate if you feel compelled. I have a couple links in the description for Cash App and PayPal. I appreciate that. And so let's get started with the current hazards. So, from the perspective of advisories and warnings and watches and things like that, we got a lot going on this morning. Let me zoom this out a little bit. Winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories for Georgia, winter storm warnings, South Carolina, North Carolina, in the mountains, and winter storm warnings here, extreme cold warnings as part of that. You see wind advisories as well. We may have more wind advisories put into place in the parts of Georgia. You see, even into Florida, um, extreme cold warning, freeze warning, wind advisory. Even in the southern Florida, cold weather advisory. Temperatures, will get very cold for Miami standards, right? So, a lot going on, even along the southern coast of Texas here, along the Gulf Coast. Extreme cold warnings, even down to southern Texas freeze watch. We won't forget our friends in the Northeast. Extreme cold warning, cold weather advisories, all the way points north here as well. And coastal flood advisory, wind advisories here. Just a lot of different stuff going on. Of course, our focus is on the winter weather today. Even points to the west here, Oklahoma, Arkansas, cold weather advisory, Colorado, freezing fog this morning. So that's interesting. We have some winter weather advisories for some snowfall up here, and maybe some freezing precip in North Dakota, South Dakota, parts of Minnesota here, and out west. Looks like we got some coastal flood advisories out here along the west coast, but other than that, we also have some high wind warnings in Montana and Wyoming here as well. So quite a lot going on. Like I said, we're in the middle of this, and be safe out there today with everything going on. So if you're looking for some zoned areas here, forecast for snow totals, I'm going to go through this real quickly. For the Atlanta area, generally between 1 and 2 inches, and up to Lawrenceville coming at between 4 and 6 here to the northeast. Then down south of the Macon area, likely less than an inch or a trace here, where, like I said, where banding can set up. We'll see where the band sets up, right? But heavy amounts to the north and east here, Millersville 2 to 3. So quite a wide range here in this area. And then points to the east. Let's see, Monroe, Watkinsville, Lexington 6 and 8, Washington, Carnesville, comments, Gainesville 4 to 6. So yeah, that's gonna be some pretty high snowfall totals here, I think. So we'll have to really monitor this today. Here are the updated snowfall totals for Georgia up into North Carolina here, South Carolina. Sorry. So there's quite a range here where we could have heavier bands of snow moving through, even the points to the south and west here, potentially, and out west here, potentially into Alabama as well. But we're just gonna have to see how this plays out today. But overall, between trace and point 0.5, a half an inch of snow here in middle Georgia. I think it's possible to get some further to the south and west here, at least some nuisance snow. But further to the north and east, you see where the higher amounts could be. And like I said, where banding sets up today, and I'm going to talk about that. We get heavier, but of course, up to the north and east into um, parts of um, South Carolina is really the jackpot area, I think. But high snowfall totals in eastern Georgia, and it says bands. And this is just an average, so where bands set up, we could have more snow, right? Snow-covered roads will linger into Sunday due to cold temperatures. So let's keep all this in mind. This is the key messages and timing for the snowfall here. And wind. So peak snow potential between 7 a.m. today, which is ongoing in North Georgia already. The intensity is in the dark blue. The most intense between 1 and 7, but between 7 a.m. and 4 is the snow. And then the coldest wind chills will be this evening to overnight in the morning. So the cold intensity increases overnight tonight. So values of -5 to -5 to 5 degree range tonight and Sunday morning. So keep this in mind as well. Again, these are the weekend wind chills that are expected here. Um, 0 to 5 in Macon, -5 to 0 Griffin, -5 to 0 Atlanta, up to -10 up here in Blairsville. So very cold overnight tonight and into the Sunday morning. So like I said, it's going to be brutal this weekend. As far as temperatures today, we know it's already getting cold here. I think we already had our high temperatures for today in middle Georgia as well. 20s, mid 20s to mid 30s, upper 40 to low 40s to the south. Highest precip chances are to the east here. So we'll keep that in mind. For tonight, look to be close to the coldest night of the season so far. Single digits up to the north in Blairsville and into southern Georgia, even in the teens. So going to be very cold. The precip moving out of the area this evening, clearing up pretty quickly here. Tomorrow, not getting above freezing in North Georgia, approaching 40 degrees in middle Georgia, and points to the south, just low 40s and sunny skies. So where the sun hits and if there's snow on the ground, it'll likely melt it. But if you got shady areas, of course, the snow is going to remain. And if it's deeper, of course, it won't melt that quickly. So let's keep that in mind as well. So here's the winter storm severity index showing where the highest travel impacts will be today. This may be a little bit underdone for eastern Georgia, but either way, potentially minor impacts in central Georgia, even points east and south. You increase the potential travel impacts, right? So anywhere along I-75, if you're driving today, you need to be mindful and points east. So, and up into parts of Alabama here. Major impacts, considerable disruptions to daily life. So let's keep that in mind today. So this is another map, and I know this is we already know a lot about this, but um, maximum probability of exceeding warning criteria. We can see where the warnings are, of course, right? So a large area here is already exceeding the warning criteria. So I'm not sure. Let me know if you think this is a useful graphic. I thought I'd just show this just in case. So here's the expected amount of snowfall for Tuesday overall here. It's very difficult for me to get pinpoint forecasts here, of course, because there's so many locations to do. But if you hover over this, you can see central Georgia, Atlanta. There's quite a big range here. And points north 6 inches, Columbia potential 8, Charlotte, Greenville maybe 10, between 8 and 10. If you zoom into this a little bit, you can see the seeding points table here. Um, yeah, upwards possibly of 8 to 10, right? And you go further to the east here, 12. But right along the outer banks, likely not to be start off as rain here. But you see these amounts here, 13 potentially, and you go to the point forecast here, high end 14 inches. So you can see where the highest amounts are, and if you go through Sunday, it shows where the highest amounts are. You go through time, Sunday afternoon, the system moves offshore here, and then we're finally done with that. So, and some overall lake effect going on here, and general snow around the Great Lakes through the period. So here's a 15-day temperature outlook for Middle Georgia. You see today, brutally cold, near freezing for highs, which we've already probably reached our high temperature, with warming up to maybe near normal for highs anyway, but lows are still going to be quite cold. And then Wednesday in the mid 50s, and generally at or near normal for highs, maybe getting above normal towards the end of the period here. So it'd be a nice change from what we've been dealing with, but overall the lows will be going to be below normal for a while, and then maybe above normal towards the end. So quite the roller coaster here, but this is unusual this time of year, and this could change, but this is the current thinking for 15 days out. So this is the current radar, and I showed you this initially when I started my video, but I wanted to show you this again, and I wanted to stop it at the current radar, right, and compare it to what the model is showing, right? So the model is showing this. Let's go to 10Z, see if we have anything more current here. Hourly. All right, 10Z. Let's switch it back to composite models. I mean, I think it's representing it relatively well, right? And the current the 10Z run is running right now still, so we don't have it all the way out, right? So it's still in progress, 33%. Okay, let's pause it right here and go back. So got this band that may be moving through the Atlanta area starting around 8 a.m. Moving to the south here. Right, so, and you can see the precip is filling in here out to the west. All right, so if we go back out to the east, excuse me, maybe a dry slot here in North Carolina, unfortunately for those folks. Let's go back one model run to 9Z. Okay, we'll go run this through. Looks like we may get a band of precip in the middle of Georgia about noontime or so, but before that, not expecting a lot. And wherever these bands set up, like I said, we could get some bursts of heavy snow, especially in the Savannah, Charleston area, all in the South Carolina. You can see that you see this dry slot. It's filling in as you get towards as the low spins up along the coast here. You see along the Outer Banks, it's showing rain right now. See heavy precip, and right along this boundary here, you see this here, heavy bands setting up. And if we look at temperatures with this, let's take a look here. Yeah, right out here along the Outer Banks, looks like it's above freezing, right? But you see the cold temps here everywhere else. So everywhere else it's going to snow, right? Dew point right along the coastline here. You can see the drier dew points, and where this model is depicting those in the most moisture. So there's quite a stark boundary here. The driest areas. Wind gusts look to be increasing as we get through the day today, right? And we talked about that. This is running through, right? H triple R. You know, I wish it showed like actual values on the map, but I'll show you some other stuff on the model output here shortly. So this is the HRR 3 kilometer sub-hourly, like every 15 minutes here, showing reflectivity. This may be a little underdone when you compare it to this current output of the composite radar. However, let's just put it through here and see what it shows. So this is generally right now 6:15. See, the snow really fills in western Georgia and all the way into central Georgia, right? And this is 1 p.m., 12 to 1 p.m., maybe some bands pivoting to the south here and into filling in the South Carolina, North Carolina, and that as that low cranks up along the North Carolina coast, heavy bands of snow, and also heavy bands of snow will push just offshore here um, in South Carolina. So, like I said, where the banding sets up, right on the edge here is going to be some pretty bursts of heavy, pretty heavy bursts of snow here, right? And this is 5:15, 6:15, 7:15. Even by 8 p.m., we still got some bands of precip in Georgia on the backside into parts of South Carolina, North Carolina here, and heavy snow along just to the west of the Outer Banks here. Okay, so let me see if I can refresh this, get a further, see if it goes any further here. 16, right? So you see this line and banding here going on, just as some really intense snowfall rates as we get through time here. So that's the latest on the radar. Let me look at winds here. 6:45, winds start picking up already, gusting 20, 30 miles per hour. You see winds right along the Carolina coast here, 40, 50 miles per hour. And the wind gusts really get cranking here in middle Georgia as well, right on the edge of where the precip is, right? And they really get cranking. These are max wind gusts. So let's do, this is mile per hour, right? So approaching 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And then the Georgia mountains as well. Even in the Florida, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. This is 7:30, 8:30 p.m. So winds will be howling here on the Outer Banks this evening. So I want to go through this too. This is the H triple R. The sub-hourly only does two different things: winds and radar. So 3 kilometer temperature. You see generally in the 20s and 30s to start this. Cold air pushing the south here. Right, you see how cold it gets tonight. 8 p.m. 20s, teens. And this model is showing colder temperatures where the most snow is, right? You see the snow on the ground may be impacting the temperatures here. Generally in the teens and 20s, and even down to 50 degrees in South Florida, right? And this is where this ends at 10 p.m. Apparent temperature. single digits, negative single digits up here in the Georgia mountains, up in the northeast. Um, single digits to teens in northern Florida, all the way to central Florida in the 20s for wind chills. Even in the South Florida, um, it gets colder than that. So let's go to 6Z because the 6Z goes further out here. Wind chills for South Florida below freezing, right? This pushes even into parts of the Bahamas here. Crazy stuff. All on the Gulf Coast and out west here as well. Just really cold. And actual temperatures may reach freezing down here overnight tonight. Even into Miami, which is in the 50s in the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos and those areas. That's pretty cold for those their standards here. So bitterly cold temperatures will push off the Gulf Coast and encompass a large area here. Going through the day tomorrow, warming up some, but cooling back off pretty quickly here as we get towards Sunday night. Here are the latest key messages for the eastern U.S. winter storm. We all know what's going on here, but it looks like Cape Cod area is not going to get as much snow as originally thought, so that's good. Maximum wind gusts will be high. Snowfall, of course, is ongoing and will continue to go through the weekend. Um, you have maybe 4 inches in extreme southeast Massachusetts, blizzard potential along the North Carolina coast, coastal flood, and record cold here will continue after the snow ends. Here are the latest key messages for the eastern U.S. winter storm. We all know what's going on here, but it looks like Cape Cod area is not going to get as much snow as originally thought, so that's good. Maximum wind gusts will be high. Snowfall, of course, is ongoing and will continue to go through the weekend. Um, you have maybe 4 inches in extreme southeast Massachusetts, blizzard potential along the North Carolina coast, coastal flood, and record cold here will continue after the snow ends. These are key messages for prolonged extreme cold. Cold air will continue then the next couple of days and will moderate some, but in the Northeast, especially, it's going to, in the Mid Atlantic, it's going to continue. Long duration hard freezes along the Gulf Coast and Florida Peninsula Saturday and Sunday night. Several decades. This is the warning from the Climate Prediction Center, Weather Prediction Center. Longest duration of extreme cold in several decades for certain areas of east and southeast. All right, so be careful. Arctic air is surging southward today. We've known this is coming, so I hope you're prepared for this. Stay safe out there. So another Arctic blast of Arctic air anticipated through the second week of February here, right? So this from the Climate Prediction Center. I know I wanted to talk about the current ongoing snowfall, but this is an ongoing problem here, especially for the Northeast. Much below high risk and much below normal temperatures here, the 7th through the 8th, and moderate risk of high winds in the same areas, and moderate risk of much below normal temperatures in southern Florida, the 7th and the 8th, and slight risk in surrounding areas. And you can see the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook here. Increased probabilities of below normal temps again for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So bitterly cold temperatures, okay? Record-breaking temperatures are possible for this area. So a core of the cold air will swing back through here. And my brother lives up here in New York, and their electric bill has been incredibly high due to the heat just running all the time, and not a good thing. Putting a lot of strain on infrastructure up here right now, and continuing here. Here's a day 3 to 7 U.S. hazards cold outlook. U.S. hazards outlook, excuse me. We've been so focused on the cold that I tend to forget that's not the only graphic here. But hazards cold, the second through the third, which is next week here, along the eastern seaboard up into the mid-Atlantic. High winds up into North Alaska here. The chance of heavy precip to the south here. So when looking at the day 8 to 14 hazards, we don't have any risk of heavy precip on the map here. Risk of heavy snow, nothing on the map either. This is valid the 7th to the 13th of February. High winds, so we got a moderate risk of high winds up here the 7th through the 10th. And this is going to accompany cold, very cold air. So the wind chill values, and maybe I'll talk about this briefly here, should be going to be approaching record values here. Slight risk of high winds, generally from mid-Atlantic all the way up in the northern high plains into the upper Midwest and the Midwest in general, Ohio Valley, and into the Northeast. High risk of below normal temps here, the 7th and the 8th in the Mid-Atlantic here, with a larger area the 7th through the 10th, Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast. Moderate risk the 7th and the 8th down here in southern Florida, as well as a slight risk the 7th through the 13th in a larger area here, generally east of the Mississippi and parts of the upper Midwest. When we look at the day 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, much below normal temps. We talked about that. Focused in the mid-Atlantic here and southern Florida, parts of the southeast into the Midwest, with above normal temperatures continuing here out west, with high confidence in a large portion of this area being above normal. This includes Alaska, most of Alaska either near normal or above, with signals to me high pressure continuing to be anomalous here all the way up into Alaska, keeping the temperatures above normal. Also in Hawaii, above normal, and Aleutian Island chain, depending on where you're at, above to near normal temperatures as well. Precip chances look to be below normal for a good portion of the country here as we go through this period. Uh, so, yeah, and above normal, maybe up here in the northern high plains, upper Midwest, and maybe in the Northwest here, and maybe into the extreme southern parts of the country. Above the near normal in Alaska, above normal in Hawaii, above the near normal in the Aleutian Island chain. So here's the week 3 to 4 temperature outlook issued yesterday, the 14th through the 27th, generally through the end of the month, right? Still trending below normal here in the eastern seaboard, the Midwest, and parts of the southeast. Equal chances in other areas with above in the desert southwest and into parts of California and surrounding areas. Above the equal below in Hawaii, depending where you're at here. Above in, not Hawaii, Alaska. Above the equal below in Alaska, and above in Hawaii here, and above the equal in the Aleutian Island chain. Moving on to precip chances. Well, we got some above normal chances here in the Mississippi Valley, Lower Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and in the Northwest, with equal chances for the rest of the country, equal to above and southern Alaska, Hawaii above, and equal chances in the Aleutian Island chain. So here's the week 3 to 4 temperature outlook issued yesterday, the 14th through the 27th, generally through the end of the month, right? Still trending below normal here in the eastern seaboard, the Midwest, and parts of the southeast. Equal chances in other areas with above in the desert southwest and into parts of California and surrounding areas. Above the equal below in Hawaii, depending where you're at here. Above in, not Hawaii, Alaska. Above the equal below in Alaska, and above in Hawaii here, and above the equal in the Aleutian Island chain. Moving on to precip chances. Well, we got some above normal chances here in the Mississippi Valley, Lower Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and in the Northwest, with equal chances for the rest of the country, equal to above and southern Alaska, Hawaii above, and equal chances in the Aleutian Island chain. We got a lot going on today with the snow and the cold air pushing in. So I hope y'all have a good weekend. Be safe out there. And God bless. Like I said, be safe. We'll see y'all later.